Hello and welcome to our Gold Learning viewers. I'm Fiona Lang-Sharp, IBCLC, Director of Communications here at Gold Learning. Well, welcome everyone. I have the pleasure of introducing to you Alice Callahan, who is here with us today as she is going to be chatting a little bit about herself. We're going to put her in the hot seat. And then we're going to be talking about her presentation here coming up at Gold Perinatal. That's right around the corner, folks. And Alice is going to be talking about the science of infant feeding, new research on gut development, microbiome, and risk of allergy. Welcome, Alice. It's great to have you here today.
Thanks so much, Fiona. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
Yes, and I'm excited because I know we were just chatting about what's coming up with your presentation and just saying so much new stuff already. You're trying to add more content, people, just letting you know what Alice is doing in the background. She's already excited about sending us more stuff. So who knows where that's going to take us, but I know that you'll be in for a treat. Alice has obviously been enjoying her time studying this, and it's great to have her here working on it. But let's roll back just for a minute here, Alice. I'd love it if you would, introduce yourself fully to our listening audience today. Tell them a little bit about yourself and perhaps where you are in the world and a little bit about your professional journey.
Sure. I sort of started out professionally on the academic track. Got my PhD in nutritional biology from the University of California, Davis, and then did a postdoctoral research fellowship studying fetal physiology and development at the University of Arizona. And now I live in Oregon, and I kind of left the academic track and have chosen instead to focus on a career in writing and teaching. So it's super fun for me because I get to continue to use my background in science and research. I get to chat with scientists all the time and follow their research as it comes out and then share it with the world. So I published a book several years ago called The Science of Mom, a research-based guide to your child's first year with Johns Hopkins Press. So that was lots of science about babies. And then I'm also a freelance writer and publish articles in national outlets, and much of it related to infant and child health and feeding. So it's definitely a passion of mine, and it's fun to kind of think about, yeah, how your professional career brings you to the place that you're at. But it's a fun area with so much new research coming out all the time that it's really fun to follow it.
Yeah, what a great career that you have there. I was reading your bio and noticing all the things you're doing, and I'm glad that you mentioned your book too, because I know that that was actually very successful. So, that's because people want to know. I think that that's the key thing is that we're living in an era where, the demand has gone up. People do want to know what's behind it,
Hmm.
and because they're questioning,
Hmm.
we're culturally now we are questioning things. And
Hmm.
so to be able to get this out to those families is just such an important and value manner. So keep up the good work there.
Yeah, thank
Lots,
you.
lots, yeah, lots going on in your life though, which is great. And sounds like the molding of your profession to where you are today has just been it's been a great journey for you.
Hmm. Yeah.
You have worked hard. I can tell.
Well, it's
All
a
right.
yeah, it's just really fun. Yeah, it's fun to follow what's really interesting and also kind of have a professional life that can be flexible because that's
Totally.
important for me in raising my kids too. So,
Yay,
hmm
that's good. That's good.
yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of your career and what you do, I would actually like to tap into you a little bit now and just hear, have you got anything in the works right now? Are you working on any projects? Is there anything that we can anticipate in the new year from you, Alice?
I'm I'm really focused right now on my freelance writing side of my work. So I'm just kind of following research and looking for interesting stories that I think are, and many of them are related to parenting and caring for infants. And um, yeah, I think there's so much out there, and I'd really like to be kind of I'm not quite ready for another book, but doing more long articles that can really go in depth in some of these topics and reach a wide audience. So that's kind of my goal for the next year.
Excellent.
Hmm.
Well, good. Well, perhaps then you'll keep us updated here at Gold. We'll be following you and seeing what's coming up because I know that that will be of interest to not only us here at Gold, but to our audience too. as you know, it's such a changing field right now, and keeping up to date can be hard. So having someone like yourself who really knows how to put it together is important to those of us who, you know, who are working in the field. So that's awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for very much. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's sit in your topic now, as so to speak, and talk a little bit about that, the science of infant feeding, new research on gut development, microbiome, and the risk of allergy. So, topic title for your upcoming presentation here at Gold Perinatal. You're going to be live with us here, Alice,
Hmm.
on Monday the 22nd, which is pretty exciting because it means that you'll be able to, the audience will be able to reach you that day. They'll be able to ask you questions and so forth and so on, which is really fun. If, of course, they can't come that day, they'll be able to listen to the recording and reach you in the forum. So there's lots of good engagement, I think, happening out there. And of course, I want everyone who's listening right now to come on the live day because it's a lot of fun here to be coming together as a team and working on all these things and learning together. So with that, why don't I put you on the spot a little bit again and ask you a little bit about your presentation. How did you reach this topic, you know, in terms of this is what I'm going to do, and now to me it sounds like it's just exploding as far as like information. Which is great. Like the explosion is a good one. All right.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah.
but talk me through a couple of the things that you're excited about, and just a couple of snippets because we want to keep people hanging a little bit. But tell me what you're excited about sharing with our audience.
Sure. Yeah, well, I think some of the areas of research that have really exploded in the last decade or so, and especially in the last couple of years, we're learning a lot more about the microbiome, of course, so the gut microbiota and how they develop in an infant, how they're influenced by feeding human milk, for example, and whether or not or how that might sort of affect health in the short term or the long term. Um, this is a super new area of research. We probably see a lot of kind of interesting media stories about it, but I think as
Right.
perinatal professionals, you need to be able to sort of sift through that and say, like, okay, what do we know so far? What can we share with families? And what is still sort of like way out there in terms of like what we're not sure. And I think that's really important because sometimes being bombarded with all this information, much of it kind of shifting and evolving as we learn more in this new area of research, can be really overwhelming for parents and anxiety provoking. So one of the
Right.
things I'm always thinking about a lot is like, I'm a mother myself, and that's really how I became super interested in infant nutrition and development. That has always been kind of in the academic background for me, but um, going through that process myself, I see like what an incredibly vital role feeding plays and how we care for and love our babies. And I also see how much work it is and how there are a lot of challenges. And I have interacted with a lot of parents over the years through my blog and emails from people who read my book, and just kind of seen how much anxiety people carry often about trying to understand the science and what that means for them. So that's sort of what I hope to do in this presentation is say, okay, here's what we know so far. Here's the latest science. Here's
Right.
here's what it tells us and here's what it doesn't. And I think we need to be comfortable with that evolving nature of the research and be willing to share that with families and say there's still a lot we don't know and we're kind of giving you the best information we have, and sort of having an open mind to learning about new research. So that's one thing we'll be talking about. Another thing will be kind of the idea of early formula supplementation. There have been some new interesting studies on that, and of course that's a really controversial area that has shifted a lot over the years,
Sure.
and just kind of trying to understand what role that might play in some infants in those first few days, including how that might affect the microbiome and sort of what the latest research is on that. So lots of interesting things to share.
Just got me thinking there.
Hmm.
I first of all, one of the things that I really like is the fact that you can interpret the language for us.
Hmm.
For those of us who are perhaps not in research a lot, and this, of course, being your area of study, which makes it really helpful. And then the other elements of really dissecting that research and looking at it again with a fresh set of eyes because I think that's so important too. There's a lot of extremes in parenting, as we know, and sometimes it's really hard. I think there's a lot of misinterpretation. Like you said, media reports and things like that can make it a little bit dicey at
Hmm.
best, for us to really understand it. And we're getting bombarded by families coming to us with that information and saying, well, I read this or I've got that. And then my physician told me this. So having a way to sift through all of that information is so valuable in the perinatal field and a necessity, so to speak.
Yeah.
As we teach our families and provide them the information because they're choices, but we're responsible to them in terms of making sure that we have given them the best information that's out there.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, I
Very,
100%
very
agree with
exciting.
you. Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
not, it's if you're in that field, it's not black and white and right or wrong. It's sort of integrating what we know and sharing
yeah,
it with families so they can kind of make the best choices they can. Um,
yeah,
yeah, so it's a really fun area, and it's an honor to me to have the opportunity to speak to and interact with perinatal professionals because I think it's just an incredible field with great responsibility and also must be so rewarding to
yeah,
work with families
for
in that
sure.
period. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, people that are dedicated to this area of work are, I always find, quite unique, very passionate, really care a lot about not only the research, but how it impacts lives and
Mhm.
relationships and all those types of things. So, and that's what I found in just interviewing people for this conference. That's something that I've always said about the perinatal field is that you won't find a better group of people to really get the message across and advocate for those families along the way. So
Mhm.
it sounds like you're right up there with them, Alice. Thank you so much for all that you do.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm very pleased to have this opportunity. So thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So quick reminder for everyone listening, Alice Callahan's going to be here with us live Monday, 22nd of October. It's right around the corner. So mark that on your calendar. Put the website into your browser, goldperinatal.com. You can register for the event right now, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. We've also got a couple of other things, of course, that you should know about, and that's our live opening and closing keynote as well. So we'll look forward to seeing you there again on October 1st is actually the big kickoff date. So we'll look forward to seeing many of you there on that day. And then our closing keynote is on October 29th. Those are free and open access. So I can't wait to share those presentations with you as well. Thank you again to Alice Callahan for being with us here today.
Thanks
And
again.
to you, our listening audience. It's always great to have you and invite you into these conversations. Thanks, Alice. Bye bye, everyone.